All right, we're back. We're back. Again, I'm going to try to, let me see if I can adjust my, oh my goodness, I was too low a gear. I'll try to not yell at you guys too much. Start off with a little wheelie here. Okay. Well, this is another Sunday evening chat, I guess we can call that. And I have a few things to talk about and get you updated on. So, no time like the present. We're going to kind of do this format when I don't have like something special to share with you guys, or something particularly interesting that I'm doing. But I've been busy and I'm going to get a little bit busier. But let's get right into it. We're going to talk about Banshee bike. You guys saw me ride the bike and kind of talk about some things that it had going on. And I want to kind of discuss that. Okay. A little bit with you. I have some observations that I've made on it, and it's not the best. I wanted to be able to do some tuning on it this year. And potentially see if I can get the chassis, make sure that the geometry is straightened out on it, and a few other things. But it looks like that's not the case. You notice that it wasn't running right. And if you watched our live, where I was running it, where I'd ran it and I was kind of diagnosing on it, it looks like we have possibly a stator side crankcase or crankshaft. Use your brain, Dewey. It's been a long weekend. Crank seal that's going out on us, and that's causing this to kind of fight things. We saw a lean condition on our spark plug, and that's not good. And that's brought on by, you know, like these 4-strokes, the crank on both sides is immersed in oil. It's a wet situation there with the stator and flywheel. Well, it's not the case on a lot of 2-strokes, and usually it's the stator side if you're going to have a failure, because there, you know, dust can get in there. There's nothing to absorb the contaminants. Not to say that there's no clutch side on those where it is bathed in oil, but it looks like that's the case for us. So dang. So I'm going to have to get into this thing before I get into this thing, and I'm not totally sure if I'm going to do the build on it or not, but I know I'm going to have to get a baseline established on it and make sure what's good on it and what's not, and then I'll think about doing the build and ordering some parts. So it's going to be next year before we get anything out of that bike. It's unfortunate, but that's what we're going to have to deal with. Boo, I know. On those bikes, it's a free chair on the side of the road. On those bikes, to replace the crankcase seal or the crankshaft seal, you've got to split the cases. And if you're like a dirt bike person, it's not a vertical splitting of the cases, it's a horizontal, like a sport bike most of the time. so the bottom of the engine comes off, and then you can extract the crankshaft and all that stuff. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Engine's got to come out for me to do that. That's just the plain and simple fact of the matter on it. So we've got that to do and look forward to. Number 2 on my list in my brain, right, is on this bike. I've been, I think, hinting or at least talking about working with or reaching out to Toxic Moto and actually buying the 320 MotoMaster caliper and adapter. So a 4-piston caliper and adapter for a 320 rotor. I've got one that goes on this wheel, an actual MotoMaster. So we've got that in stock, but I ordered that in the beginning of June. So we're on our 3rd month. I've got email correspondence from them just shortly after the 4th of July, the week of the 4th of July, where they said they were going to work on it later in the week or even the following week, and then get back with me when it's in the mail or in transit. Well, obviously that was over a month ago, and now they want to answer my phone calls or respond to my emails. That's unfortunate. So what I tried to do was I had kind of a bad feeling about it, but I got one of the 320 rotor adapters that you replace part of the caliper and its bracket. Some of you may have done this on some of your bikes, but it's really difficult to do in a way of speaking, because on these already have a 310. It's much easier to replace or adapt a 320 to, say, the S model. The S model in this case, because it's the same basic bracket as what goes on my YZ400F and offset. I don't know how, but it just is. So I've got one that will fit one of those, but it's just not the best suspension, in my opinion, to be running it, because I'd have to switch a bunch of stuff over here. So that's out. But I had all this apart, tried to adapt it on there, and there's just no way in hell I could get it to work. It's just way too tight a tolerance. So that's out. So I'm a little bit bummed about it. I've just got this back together, and I decided, since I've been working on it, that what I wanted to do was I wanted to go ahead and bleed this system. So I did bleed my brakes, and you know, I'm on the end of the life of these brake pads. It's just the way she goes, but there's still enough, I think, to do what I want to do, which would be going to a track day next weekend. And I'll be riding the new the DRZ4 SM, the 2nd generation of the DRZ. It will have the same tires as what this has on it, which will make it a little bit more of a good comparison to the suspension that this is running, and I think it'll make it really interesting. So I've got that coming along. Alright. So you may have seen the vineyard video where I was driving through the vineyard saying harvest is close. So this week I'm going to be harvesting 2 different types of grapes and processing them, and then hopefully getting the hell out of town. I don't know how well that's going to work. Hopefully it's going to work, because I really want to ride with my friend Jake. And I also got the YZ444 or WR444, whatever you want to call it. The bike with the magic tires, that's what I referred to it a lot of the time. So I'm kind kind of topped off the fuel on that, knocked the dust off the thing a little bit. I'm also going to bring the two-stroke YZ250 that Jixer rode, and also my friend Miles, Mile Wheelies, really cool guy. He rode it, and I think he approved as well. So I'm going to bring it. Always bring it, because more bikes is better. So we've got that to look forward to. I'm going to have to kind of thread the needle to make it happen, but I think it's not going to be a huge problem to make it happen. We're going to find that out one way or t'other. So that's why I was wanting to have this 320 conversion, and I was mocking that up with a wheel that I had on the S model, the KKE wheels, because that has a 320 rotor on it. That's the old school. I think that's the Firebird or the Trans Am. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, you get kind of halfway. That's not really a motorcycle. But yeah, stress is kind of up. If you're praying people, pray for my family and my uncle. So he's married to my dad's sister. My dad's, gone and passed on. But my mother's down with him, or with them, helping my aunt, because he's got cancer everywhere. And so he went home on hospice care. Hospice people, they're great people, and God love you. So say a prayer for my family. They're, my aunt, it could have happened, or it might be in the process of happening right now. But, my mom's helping her out and making sure that she's in the best possible position that she can be in. So that's good. You got to help out your family when you get a chance to. So that's a good thing. And that brings me back to one of the things that, I made a comment on a person's Instagram. They asked, what's one of the most valuable things that you've learned, or some, I'm paraphrasing, what's the wisdom or something that you've learned that's, this, that, or the other. I'm paraphrasing that in this life. Well, the most valuable thing, or the best knowledge I could pass on, is the most valuable thing, if you're a wealthy person or if you're not a wealthy person, the most valuable thing that you have is time. That's a word of wisdom. If you spend your time with someone, or doing something for someone, it's more than just your effort, it's your time. Because time is a valuable currency. I think they did kind of I think it might have been a Justin Timberlake was the character in the video or the movie or whatever it was, and I didn't watch it, but there's snippets of it everywhere. And so the currency, and people, I think there's a scene that's notable that he was gambling with, was his time. That'll be so many years or so many days or this, that, the other. So the most valuable thing that you have is time. And that's true. Time is valuable. So be wise of who you spend your time with and how you spend your time, because it's the most valuable thing that you have on this world. So right now, my mom is spending time with family, helping them out, as my uncle is going, he's transitioning from his time on this earth to what is next. And he's a believing man, and also he voted for Trump, so that means he's a real American. good American, and God love him. Member of the NRA for the longest time, and they're just overall good people. And I love them. I love him. Love my aunt. Love my mom. Love my whole family. Even the one that kind of hacked me off sometimes. So something, if I spend my time with you or on something for you, just know it's my time, and I think you should value your time like that as well, because like I say, you only have so much of it. So I'm going to do a little circle around this neighborhood here, and I might ramble on a little bit. I think I've covered most of the things that I wanted to talk about. Okay, yeah. I'm testing my brakes out a little bit with me jacking around with it. I lost my handle as far as the pressure on my handle. And so this is also kind of a brake test, if you will. But this rotor, it's getting tired as well. It's starting to get a little loose on the rivets. So that's kind of a thing as well. Kid playing with soccer ball. I think that's what it was. There's a bunny. But yeah, that's kind of some of the things that I wanted to talk about today. And I've been run ragged this summer. I've not been a very good I've been trying to share some of my thoughts and share some of the things I've worked on this year, but it seemed like the prime of it this year has been when I was working on Link's garage on his bike's engine and stuff. And I think he's really enjoying that bike. And if you're not following him, please do. He just installed a tachometer on his bike, and he did a video sharing about it, and it was a pretty cheap and easy, straightforward mod. For those of you that want to have a tachometer, that's a good option for you. And so my bike's dash may be in the process of dying because my time is no longer rolling. It may be in a stock mode or something. I might be able to revitalize it. I don't know. I'll have to go through the modes on it and see if I can change it. Hopefully that's the case, but I think when this one, if it does go out, I might go to a Trail Tech Voyager Pro. That's just a thought right now. I know those are pricey. My friends live over here. He actually had a CRF 400 or 450L at one point, and I cleaned the injector for him. But I think there's something wacky with the map on that bike, and I had to ask him and see what he ended up doing with it. The shop in this region that I thought could repair it or get it functional, they threw in the towel on it, I think, because they're like, I can't figure out what's wrong with it. I wish they would have went with the Vortex ECU. On it, but it was like one of these weird pronunciation. It's like a German or something like that. I don't know. I don't believe in those things anyway, although I'm going to be riding a DRZ that's been converted to, that they basically Suzuki has adapted to fuel injection. So the preliminary is it's a very on-off. What Jake's told me, the on-off throttle, there's kind of like a lag to it. And I think in the flash that a lot of people do on it, or that More Mafia did a good video on it, and they were describing what they do is when you cut the zero throttle, it goes to zero fuel delivery. And when he tunes it, it's not zero fuel at zero throttle, and I think that eliminates the lag. So I hope that he can do that. And we don't have anybody coming right now, so I'm going to do it. Let's see, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. We don't have anybody coming, so I'm going to pull up a wheelie real quick here. Something that I've noticed is my speedometer shut off pretty quick, and so it tells me that I probably got a little bit of drag on my front rotor with these brake pads. So I'm going to evaluate those and see if I got an issue. But they may, I've had this thing compressed completely, so it might be an issue. I just don't know yet. It did that initially on these pads when the pads were brand new. And if I end up taking this off, what I'll do, you guys still there? Hey, there I am. What I'll probably do is I'll probably put the other pads on it. But I don't know. I'm going to also evaluate this rotor because I'm a little bit concerned about its health. Because it may be toast. I'm a little upset at myself because if I would have just left it alone, there wouldn't be an issue. But, I've got good brakes. I'm not a stoppy person. Oh man, that was a massive bug that hit me in the leg. So we're going 70. I'm going to wait till this kink in the road straightens out here. Yeah, that's enough to skid the front tire, so... Did you guys hear it? I wasn't braking as hard this time. But they're bedded in pretty good, so. So, hopefully we'll test that here in a second. I know this vlog's getting kind of long, so I'll do a preemptive into the video. A little preemptive in. Oh yeah, the brakes have really bedded in good, so I don't think I'll end up having to mess with